Hey guys, Mike here again, and today will be a little bit different. Today we're going to be focusing, instead of just on one company and one product strategy, we're going to be talking about coronavirus and how that affects different company strategies and how that should affect your investing strategy. This video will be a lot less of a deep dive into one specific company and will be kind of very high level, kind of glossing over a bunch of different companies and how their different products are either elevated or de-elevated by the coronavirus pandemic. I'll be breaking out this video in three main sections. The first section is classic, well-known stocks that you probably already have that are performing very well. The second one is classic ones to avoid that are underperforming because of coronavirus. And then the third category of companies are companies that are performing well, but are probably flying under your radar. And this is probably going to be the most interesting part for you guys, so stay tuned. But before we begin, make sure you like down below and comment down below which companies you've been looking at during the COVID pandemic and which companies you'd want me to do a deep dive analysis on, and ultimately make a recommendation or see if it's a great company. So comment and like down below and let me know what you think. So let's dive right into the classic well-known companies. So these are ones like online shopping. Obviously now with COVID, people can't really go in person to shop. So this is, classic Amazon, classic Walmart. These are probably in your portfolio. Looking at the companies, Amazon is probably the top one to buy right now. It's up over 69% in the last year. And so COVID has definitely not made a dent, and you have been missing out if you do not own this stock. The next big segment that's really getting a boost from COVID is online entertainment. Naturally, you're probably already using Netflix. You're probably already using Disney. I really recommend Disney just because I think they have a really great product strategy, which I've covered in my previous video. But just looking at the numbers, Netflix is up almost 67% in the past year, whereas Disney is actually below. They're minus 3%. So I personally think Disney is the sleeper here, but definitely just looking at the numbers, Netflix is the way to go. I don't think you can go wrong with either company. Both I recommend as buys, especially during the COVID pandemic. Next big section is online services. So the main one I can call out here is Google. Definitely recommend buying Google stock. Everyone is using Google search right now. And what you might not really know is Google is classically known for Google search, but they also have email. They also have productivity services. So this is like Google Docs, and they make money from companies buying subscription services to that. So overall, I highly recommend Google, and in the last year, they're up about 24%. So pretty good, especially during COVID times. Their revenue has actually dropped year over year, but that's not a huge concern. I quickly see them regaining that and much more in the next 6 to 12 months. And then the last big section, you're probably already familiar with these, but this is online productivity. So think of things like Zoom that are essential for businesses to run. And there's a smaller company that I like to point out called DocuSign. So when you sign documents, instead of doing it in person with pen and paper, you can do it all online. Highly recommend these. These are essential for a lot of businesses to operate during the COVID pandemic. So you probably already heard of Zoom stock. They're up over 370% in the last year. Highly recommend them. They're providing online video services that are essential for businesses to operate. One that you might not know as much about though is DocuSign, and I do recommend looking into this company. Again, their product is providing online e-signatures so that you can quickly sign things. They're up over 200% in the last year. DocuSign is benefiting a lot from COVID, and obviously now we can't sign in person, and so doing everything online is super easy, super fluid, pretty essential for a lot of businesses to operate. So that kind of wraps up the classic, well-known companies that are a great investment during COVID. Hopefully none of this should really come as a surprise to you. Hopefully you have a lot of these companies in your portfolio already. If you do, great. You've probably made a decent amount of money. In the next section, I really want to touch on classic, well-known companies that you should probably avoid for the next 6 months. They might be good buying opportunities, but also their businesses might fundamentally change. So I would be very wary of these companies, especially because of COVID. So the top two are really travel companies. So think of, classic airline companies like Delta, United, American, Southwest. I think these are very iffy. We don't even know how travel will change in the next 12 months. My guess is that it'll change drastically. So definitely be on the lookout for those. Definitely be on the lookout for hotel stocks. So, Hilton, Marriott, again, travel industry is going to fundamentally change. So definitely be on the lookout for those. Something else to avoid related to the travel industry is online travel retailers. So to think of things like Expedia, Orbitz. So those companies I would be very wary of. And just like with the travel industry, you never know what it's going to be like. And so the second big category that I definitely avoid is in-person retail. So these are companies like Macy's and Nordstrom. Obviously, you have to go in, and right now a lot of people are not going in instead of doing online shopping. Something else I would point out here is I would count movie theaters under online retail, and I think movie theaters, specifically Regal and AMC, they're gonna be hit pretty hard. So I would definitely be on the lookout. I don't remember the last time I went into a movie theater. And I think movies from your big TV screen, from the comfort of your own home, is going to be a strategy that we really see companies invest in, such as Disney. We're already seeing that with Mulan. And so I would personally avoid AMC and Regal for the time being. And the last big section that I want to talk about is companies that are not well known, but will have a huge benefit from coronavirus. And these are stocks that you might not have heard of, but you should definitely keep on your radar. So the first one is RVs. So like I said previously, travel is going to be restricted from an airline and a hotel perspective, but I think people are still going to want to travel. And so what I would look into are RV companies, specifically Winnebago and Thor Industries. These are the manufacturers of RVs. And just looking at Winnebago, they're up over 40% for the year. And then looking at Thor, they're up over 80% for the year. So they're making money. Definitely keep on a lookout for them. I expect people to continue buying RVs, and I expect a lot of growth in this area. The one thing to look out for here is though manufacturing. Can the RV companies manufacture fast enough? The next big category I look into are home buying companies, specifically Zillow and Redfin. And the reason why is I'm seeing a lot of people are moving out of cities. Cities are expensive, and now there's no reason to live inside of a city, and people are buying homes outside, and interest rates are pretty low. And I think that creates the perfect storm of actually a lot of real estate prices are stable. Some are potentially even increasing, and some are only decreasing by a little bit. And so just looking at Zillow and Redfin, they're each up over 150% in the last year. So I definitely keep a lookout on that. People are buying more homes, especially with the interest rates and with people moving into suburbs for more space and less desire for city living. Another big industry that I look at is car buying. As people move into suburbs, they're going to need to buy cars. Also, as people are scared of riding in public transit and Lyfts and Ubers, they're going to want still transportation and cars, and buying their own cars is one way of doing that. I've seen reports that car buying demand is at the same level, if not higher than this time last year, and there is a slight supply constraint due to manufacturing of new cars. So two companies I like to call out are AutoNation. They're not up by that much. They're only up by about 5% this year, but still keep a close eye on them. And then CarMax, as you know, they're a well-known national brand for buying and selling used cars, and they're up about 18% for the year. So definitely keep a lookout on them. Another big category that I'd look at is content delivery networks. And so this is essentially a little bit of the underlyings of how the internet works. So when you watch Netflix and YouTube, that's actually delivered by a content delivery network. You need fast, reliable, and secure delivery of this content. And that's where CDNs really come in. So the two companies I'd look at are Fastly and Cloudflare. So Fastly and Cloudflare are both really similar companies. Fastly is a little bit smaller. Cloudflare is a little bit more well-known, but they're still great companies to look at. Looking at Fastly, they're up over 130% in the last year. Again, this is super important. If you want to deliver a fast, reliable streaming service or any type of media, CDNs are the way to go. And then looking at Cloudflare, they're up about 80% for the year. So definitely keep a lookout. I think even past the coronavirus, the internet's going to be a huge part of our lives, and I see CDNs still growing even past coronavirus. So I think these are great recommendations for even long-term buys. And then the last big category that I'd look at is essential retail. So previously I mentioned, in-person retail is not doing well, like Nordstrom and Macy's. That's a lot of what I call luxury goods, but essential retail I count as, grocery stores and things that people need to eat to survive. The two I'd look to call out here are Costco and Dollar General. These are actually two very different investing strategies. I'd say Costco is more about the bulk retailer, someone who just wants to go in, buy enough groceries and supplies for, a month or 2 months and then kind of get out. And I think Costco is going to be really big and important for these people. Looking at Costco's stock, they're up over about 16% in the last year. So decent amount of growth, and I think they're poised to continue growing. So Dollar General is a slightly different essential retail strategy. So I predict there's going to be a high unemployment rate when people don't have the jobs, they don't have the money, but they still gotta eat, they still gotta buy things. And that's where Dollar General really comes in. It provides people cheap and effective ways to make their dollar, kind of go further, right? And so just looking at their stock, they're up over 26% in the last year. So they're gonna be really important. I think if the economy goes into the recession, a lot of people are gonna be relying on Dollar General to make their dollar go further. So I think they're going to be really important. So that's kind of a wrap up of the top stocks that I think are, well known and classic that everyone should own, well known and classic that everyone should avoid, and then maybe some stocks that you might not have known that will be benefiting from COVID. Hopefully you learned a thing or two and have a couple new stocks to go investigate and do some research and hopefully make a great buy and make some money. Please let me know down in the comments which stocks you would love to see me do a deep dive analysis on in terms of their financials, their product strategy, and ultimately a recommendation. So let me know and make sure you like and comment and subscribe. Thank you guys. Have fun.